Welcome back for another game of Kings of War. This week I've got another game versus Josh's Goblins, 2,300 points, and same scenario as last week. We rolled up Fool's Gold. So same forces, just an extra 300 points each. So we will see how the armies go this time. Been busy this last couple of days. I got some reinforcements for my ogres arrived this week from Forster's Foundry in the UK. Took a bit of a mission to get here to New Zealand. Had to send them via our New Zealand Post service in England and then out to New Zealand. So not cheap, but very happy with the miniatures. They are absolutely stunning. So looking forward to painting more of them up. So I hurriedly got 2 units ready over the last couple of days. They are boomers, but in this particular case I'm going to use them as shooters, justifying those huge cannon have a bit more oomph than your traditional boomer weapons. So I'm going to use them as shooters this game. And a bit of a comparison. As you can see here, these are the Mantic boomer models. These guys are almost twice as tall. They are rather imposing on the table, more like giants than ogres, but they look pretty cool. So looking forward to painting more of them up. Right, let's have a look at my Ogre Army this week. It has changed slightly with the increase in points. So I've upgraded the Goblin Scouts up to a Warrior Chariot Regiment now, and I had 10 points left, so I gave them the Mead of Madness, get a bit more extra range out of them on charges. Got a Boomer Chariot Troop, which has the Stealth Aura, no Sacred Horn this time, 2 Shooter Hordes, 2 Warrior Regiments to act as chaff, 2 Siegebreaker Hordes, Manny the Mammoth, the Boomer Sergeant. I've got a Sergeant on a Chariot with a crossbow, and I've got a regular Sergeant with a crossbow, and of course I've got Nom Nom. So 13 units, 21 unit strength. And here we go, the army assembled and ready for battle. And let's have a look at Josh's Goblins this week. The main difference is that he's added 4 different war machines. He's got 3 more pup launchers and the throwing stick thing. I'll have a look, see what its actual name is. He's dropped his Goblin Blasters, but the rest of the army's pretty similar. He's got 4 regiments of Goblin Rabble. He's got the 3 Troll regiments. One's exploding trolls, and they've got a potion of caterpillar. He's got one with the chalice of wrath. The final one's got the staying stone. He's got a mince mob regiment with the brew of sharpness. He's got a wing it. He's got megwans. Character wise, he's got a flagger on a Moorbeast, troll bruiser, Cuzlo a madfall, wizard on Moorbeast with host shadow beast 6, grup longnail, groany snark, and as I said, the war machines, the more pup launchers and throwing sticks. So outnumbers me in unit strength and also in actual units. He's got 20 units to my 13, so I'm well and truly outnumbered in this one. Right, let's have a look at deployment. As you can see, I'm only defending 2/3 of the table. The objectives I want around here. So I've got my boomers, my warrior chariots, I've got siege breakers, I've got Manny, I've got a warrior regiment going that way. I am covering the center with my shooters here, and then I've got a flank protection force of the boomer chariots, siege breakers, sergeant, boomer sergeant, and warriors. Their job is to kind of hold whatever's coming this way. Josh has done almost exactly the opposite of me. He too wants the objectives, but his, as it turns out, ended up kind of in this area. So he's wanting his forces, oh, no, his forces from around here where he's got his heavy hitters there coming to hit my guys head on. He's got a big pile of characters, including Grony and Longnail, and they're wanting to come around that way. At the back area there, he's got his war machines. So we ended up just fighting pretty much over half the table, but turned out to be a really good game. So let's get into it. And let's just pan along the goblin lines there. All the characters, war machines. Here's his heavy hitters, all his trolls, some rabble, etc. And opposite them are my heavy hitters, shooters there in the middle, and then my flank protection force. So let's have a look and see how we get on. Let's have a look at the first turn from the goblins. I won the dice roll to see who goes first and decided to go second. So as you can see, the goblins advanced on a broad front. The winged leading the charge, racing into my half of the board. The rest of the Goblin Army advanced a bit more cautiously. So not a great deal of action there. And just a shot from my perspective, the right hand side of the Goblin Army with all the trolls and the rebel advancing. It's got the mince and mob there as well, so advancing on a broad front. Okay, shooting from the goblins, the war machines, etc. He put 3 wounds on my warrior regiment, and he also put 2 wounds on a horde of shooters. Nom Nom in his turn healed those 2 wounds on the shooters. So shooting wasn't too effective. I was quite happy with that. My response, as you can see, the warrior regiment and the boomer sergeant is acting as flank protection there. They've just turned to face the threat posed by the winged. Probably should have turned the sergeant a bit more. Boomer chariots went forward. I was trying to target these individuals. I was needing 6s at least to hit them and reduce dice rolls, etc. But really wanted to try and deal with that wizard to stop the Shadow Beast spell being brought into play with his nearby friend of Grony Snark. On the other side, Nom Nom moved across here. He's just healed the shooters. I've advanced a wee bit with the Siege Breakers Manny and with the chariots, and the warriors have advanced to screen my troops going forward. End of turn 1. The goblins are advancing in numbers over there. All the annoying little characters are coming this way. The goblins with their war machines managed to do 3 wounds on my warriors, and they also did 2 wounds down here on my shooters, but Nom Nom managed to heal that, and in response I did 6 wounds on the trolls there, the exploding trolls, and 1 wound on the wizard. So start of Josh's turn 2. Just a shot of one of Josh's character figures, the wizard on the Moor Beast. Love the way the contrast paints have worked on this, and I really like the colour choices of the purples and the greens. They work really well together for the goblins. Wee bit of a night goblin, I guess, effect in some ways, but the army looks really cool. Here we go, a shot partway through turn 2. I think this is just after the goblins shooting. My sergeant's been targeted by the goblin war machines, taken 4 wounds. The winged is flying around. Here we've got Kuzlo is attacking the warriors. Here the boomer sergeant and Grony Snark are about to engage. Not going to end well for the boomer sergeant. Spoiler alert there. Got the wizard who's given him the Shadow Beast. I think he got Shadow Beast 2. And then we've got the exploding trolls who have been targeted last turn by my shooters, and the rebel advancing as well. As I said, I think Groany only got 2 extra attacks with the Shadow Beast, but as you can see here, he did 15 wounds to the Boomer Sergeant, which pretty much chopped the Boomer Sergeant into very tiny pieces. It was a very minor speed bump, that Boomer Sergeant. Groany is a right pain, which is why I'm trying to target the Wizard to limit the amount of extra attacks he gets. And here we go, just at the end of turn 2, you can see where the Goblins have been advancing on all fronts, putting pressure on my left flank here. The Boomer Sergeant's gone, Wizard's still there. KoW has attacked, I think he did 3 wounds on the Warriors, not enough. The Moor Pups did 4 wounds over here on the Warriors, didn't destroy them, so in my turn I think I countered charge, and those Goblins ended up facing I think they ended up facing the Siege Breakers, and Manny went and helped, so I could have crossed over there but destroyed both those units in my turn.
Okay, an interesting turn 2. Been some combats over here. KoW didn't quite kill my warriors. They didn't kill him back. Managed to kill the Wizard. Groany, he destroyed my Boomer Sergeant. 15 wounds. And then hid. Bit of shooting over here. Focused on the trolls and killed them. And there've been a couple of other combats. Managed to get rid of the Magwans and some Goblins. So
trolls blew themselves up.
The trolls blew themselves up, which gave lots of wounds on the Goblins, not so many on my unit. On to turn 3.
Turn 3, to try and shut down some of the shooters shooting, Josh threw a regiment of rebel into the woods. Surprisingly enough, they didn't do any wounds on the shooters, so wasn't quite as effective as he hoped. And here we go. You can see the left flank around here has really been cleaned out. The warriors have gone. The winger is still sneaking around. We've got Groany there. We've got, maybe that's Longnail. Yeah, I think that's Longnail there. This is, I think actually this is probably just at the end of Josh's turn, because the Siege Breakers went and charged over there and destroyed him. The chariot swung around here, went into Groany, and had a bit of an inconclusive combat there. The Bruiser was charged by the Siege Breakers, or he charged them, and I countercharged. The Bruiser didn't last very long. The Warriors, I think Manny may have come over to help them, possibly. The Chariots did, someone did, and they dealt with those trolls as well.
Bottom of turn 3, we've cleared out the Bruiser, cleared out some trolls. So over here got rid of Mr. Longnail, but there is a sergeant who's fighting against Groany. So yeah, I think, and objectives, there's a 2 here, another 2 there, a 1 there, and a 1 there as well. Interesting. Turn 3.
Okay, beginning of turn 4, I was feeling reasonably confident. Siege Breakers were heading up after the war machines. There was a winglet out here. The chariot, the sergeant on the chariot, by failing to kill Groany, he ended up being hit in the rear by a regiment of rebel. Groany from the front, he was destroyed. The shooters, they took a lot of wounds. They got hit by the trolls in the front and by KoW in the side, and I think Josh might have rolled a 3 or something, and the ogres carried on fighting. Up here, I'd been concentrating with my other unit of shooters on the mincer mob, and I've done about 13 or 14 wounds. So yeah, I thought, well, yeah, next round they're definitely dead. So wasn't that worried. However, they decided that they were going to go down fighting, so they slammed into the siege breakers there, did something ridiculous like 14 wounds, and just ran straight over the siege breakers. And then I shot them to pieces with the shooters, but they definitely took the siege breakers out before they fell. So things were still looking okay for me, but there was still quite a few characters, and things weren't looking as good as they had done just a few moments earlier. So again, a bit of an overview. You can see where the wingets moved to. I think it went back round across there. You've got the rebel coming around. You've got the siege breakers. They charge over here and take out one of the war machines before they eventually are killed. The other siege breakers are now gone, and the mincer mobs push forward, so out of Manny's charge arc as well. But the chariots and the warriors have cleaned out the trolls. So the warriors are going to charge up here. That's a 2-point token there, and the chariots are on the other 2-point token. So I've got 4 points there alone. There's another one there, which I should be able to get. There's a one there I'm hoping I'll be able to get. So I was feeling quite confident at this point.
Good turn from the Goblins. Their turn 4. Got rid of my sergeant. Luckily, didn't get rid of my shooters here. Got rid of my siege breakers. Took 14 wounds from the mincers. So, not over yet. Oh, and the siege breakers got hit by the artillery. Took 7 wounds.
And here we go, an overview of my turn 4. So siege breakers charged up here after the war machines. Nom Nom came over this way. I think he tried to lightning bolt the winged and missed. Shooters charged Kuzlo, didn't do enough to kill him. See, Sergeant in the flank here. The shooters killed the mincer mob. Manny went charging off to get an objective, as did the warriors, and also the chariot on the far right flank. It just did a 90-degree turn. It's sitting on top of a 2-point objective there.
End of my turn 4. Siege breakers galloped off and just squashed the war machine. Over here, a few wounds on Kuzlo, not enough to kill him from the shooters. Sergeant and the side did 4 wounds against them. They're still there. Managed to shoot and destroy the mincer mob. So on to turn 5.
You know, things are getting a bit tense when you get to take photos. Turn 5. Is it Grony Snark? Took out the siege breakers over there. Which, okay, that's fair enough. He's entitled. Okay, turn 5 and 6. Josh went scrabbling after as many free objectives as he could get. The flagger up here came charging round. The winged moved round, full move forward. It ended up racing over here in the end because my warriors were taken out by some artillery. They were already on about 8 wounds, which left this 2-point objective open, which the winged then claimed. The Goblins here came up and contested with Manny. They've got a higher unit strength than Manny, so they actually claimed that one. We had a big battle round here, and Kuzlo, he went charging up after this objective. So the chariots, they were pinned there. They had a 2-point objective. They couldn't do anything else really. So I ended up controlling at the end of turn 6 this one and this one for 3 points. Josh ended up controlling this one. No, Josh controlled this one and this one. And we ended up being, I think it was 3-3 all at the end of turn 6, and we rolled and got a turn 7. And I think this one is the end of turn 6, where the wing is racing off up there after that objective. contesting here with the Goblins against Manny. Nom Nom charged the Trolls in the rear and the shooters charged them in the front, and I managed to get rid of the Trolls, but it suddenly was coming down to the wire, and it all came down to turn 7. As it turned out, this was the pivotal combat at the end of turn 7. Groany, little rotter that he is, did a bit of damage to Manny, but not enough to worry him. Turn 6 didn't do enough damage on these Goblins, but the last dice roll on turn 7, Manny finally rolled well to see how many attacks he got, and he took out the Goblins. So the very last dice rolls of the game were the 2 nerve checks for those Goblins. If I'd rolled a double 1, then they would have held and they would have won 4-3. As it was, Manny just snuck through, killed the Goblins, and turned it back into a 4-3 to me. But it was a great game. And again, this just shows how close it was. These Goblins were contesting here. The shooters, though, and Manny made that a draw. There's a point there to Kuzlo. I've got 2 there. Josh has got 2 there, so it all came down to who could control this objective at the end of the game to take the game.
Okay, it came down to the last dice roll on turn 7. Manny destroyed the Goblins to give him a token over here to bring it back 4-3. A very, very close game in the end. That was awesome. Well played, Josh.
And there we have it. Victory to the Ogres, 4-3. Turn 3, it was looking like I was about to steamroll Josh's army. I'd taken out quite a few of his heavy hitting units, but those characters and the remaining units, they just clawed their way back in, and once they started nibbling away at my units, the Ogres started to melt quite quickly, and suddenly I was in a world of trouble. There was still far too many Goblin units, and I couldn't contest all the objectives I needed to. So really well played by Josh to come back when it was looking like he really had his back up against the wall. And as it turned out, it would have been a draw if 3-3 if we hadn't have gone to turn 7. And even on turn 7, it could have gone either way till the very last dice roll, and you can't get a better game than that. Interesting thing about Kings of War, if you look through the way that the battle unfolds, it kind of, in some ways, reminds me of how World War II dogfights must have occurred. You know, you've got your battle lines, and then suddenly there's units pivoting left, right, and centre to try and get onto the flanks of each other, and any semblance of a battle line is quickly gone out the window. But it's always an entertaining game. Very few games are one-sided that we've had. They usually go down to the wire, and that turn 6-7 roll is often quite pivotal to the final outcome. So another really good game. Thoroughly enjoyed that, and looking forward to another game soon. So thanks for watching. Ka kite anō.